The morning light filters through tall windows onto polished wood floors as relatives, neighbors, and courthouse staff file into the crowded gallery of Richmond's district court. There is a low hum of hushed conversations and rustling papers, but an undercurrent of unease runs through the room. In the third row sits a composed figure, Marisol Vega, clad in simple slacks and a dark blazer, her bearing unmistakably that of a Marine. Her silver hair is pulled back neatly, her posture straight, hands folded calmly in her lap. She does not seek attention yet. Every eye in the courtroom senses her presence. Below her at the defense table sits her younger brother, Malik Vega, 22, shoulders hunched under the weight of steel handcuffs. His face is drawn eyes rimmed red, and each time he glances toward his sister, she offers a single reassuring nod. I am here. You are not alone. Across the aisle, the state's attorney, a polished man in his 50s, leans in to whisper with Officer Graham Bates. The officer's uniform is stretched over a bulky frame, and his smirk betrays a confidence born of long habit. He treats that badge as though it grants him unchallengeable authority. When the bailiff intones case number 9147D, the state of Richmond versus Malik Vega, the gavel cracks sharply and silence falls like a shroud. Malik rises the chains, clinking eerily, as the public defender, a young woman meeting her client for the first time just weeks ago, rises to speak. With trembling voice, she requests permission to call Marisol Vega to the stand. A ripple of surprise courses through the crowd. Who is this calm, unassuming woman trained to operate far from courtroom procedures? Everyone leans in, aware that the familiar routine of justice may be about to yield to something altogether different. A sister's steadfast resolve to protect her brother and to challenge a system that has already branded him guilty. Marisol Vega rises from her seat and walks to the witness stand with measured steps, every movement composed yet charged with authority. The courtroom falls into an expectant hush as she places her hand on the rail, raises her right hand and states clearly, Master Sergeant Marisol Vega, United States Marine Corps Force Recon. A murmur ripples through the gallery. Few anticipated a veteran of the fiercest battlefields testifying in a legal proceeding. The defense attorney, regaining her composure, begins gently. Master Sergeant Vega. Why are you here today? Marisol's calm voice resonates in the still air. My brother Malik was with me and on military leave the entire evening. In question, she explains. We have airline tickets showing my arrival that afternoon, building security footage, capturing us in the lobby, and my neighbor's sworn statement confirming our presence together. She offers the documents to the clerk, crisp boarding passes marked with timestamps, surveillance stills, and a notarized affidavit from a gracious neighbor who brought dinner to their home. A soft chuckle drifts from a corner of the courtroom, an audible question of whether all this evidence truly matters. Instantly, the judge's steely glare halts the disturbance. Officer Graham Bates shifts uneasily in his seat. The taut lines of his polyester uniform betray tension where once there was swagger. The prosecutor rises carefully, adjusting his tie, and challenges, Can we be absolutely certain your brother remained under your care all night? Leaning forward, Marisol meets the prosecutor's gaze without hesitation. That certainty lies with you, counselor, she replies. In our system, the burden of proof rests with the state. Her words hang in the air like a slowly unfurling flag of truth. The gallery exchanges glances, jurors scratching notes, spectators nodding, some leaning forward, as cracks begin to appear in the prosecution's confident facade. Officer Bates's once confident smirk falters beneath Marisol's unwavering eyes. As she steps down from the stand, the momentum shifts imperceptibly yet irrevocably. What began as a routine hearing now bears the distinct imprint of a sister's unwavering commitment in the quiet authority of a Marine Recon veteran, proof that even the most steadfast accusations can crumble under the weight of truth. No sooner does Marisol return to her seat than Officer Bates's elbow accidentally strikes her flank. A chorus of gasps echoes through the hushed courtroom. The bailiff's voice booms, order in the court. The judge pounds the gavel and demands an explanation. Bates shrugs with practiced innocence. I didn't see her, Your Honor, he says, voice smooth as silk. Marisol rises again, calm yet resolute. May I speak freely? She asks, eyes locked on the bench. The judge, taken aback by her poise, nods. Every breath in the room seems to pause. With measured authority, Marisol addresses Bates. I have taken fire in the mountains of Afghanistan. I have lost comrades in deserts and jungles. I have never ever been struck by a law enforcement officer inside a courthouse. A weighty silence follows her words. The air vibrates with the gravity of her statement. She looks back to the judge. Your Honor, I respectfully request that Officer Bates be removed from this courtroom for the duration of my testimony. The judge studies her for a heartbeat, then signals the bailiff. Bates protests, eyes flaring. You can't do this. I didn't, but his words are drowned beneath the swift footsteps of the bailiff as he is escorted out. Passing Marisol's row, Bates leans in close and hisses, "This isn't over." His threat is low, cruelly confident in its promise of retaliation. Marisol's gaze remains unflinching. She replies, voice soft yet unyielding, "Neither is the war." One by one, the spectators drift from their seats as though leaving a somber vigil, whispers trailing behind them like mourners filing out of a chapel. The courtroom, once a stage for routine proceedings, now feels transformed into a crucible of accountability. Marisol's unwavering stance has shifted the balance of power. The very institution meant to embody justice has been forced to reckon with its own breach of honor. Out on the quiet stone steps just beyond the oak-paneled doors, Malik Vega collapses onto a bench. The weight of his chains gone, but his spirit still shackled. His shoulders slump, eyes hollow. In a low voice, he asks if Marisol is all right. She inhales slowly, steadying herself. I'm fine, she says, though the tremor in her exhale betrays her tension. Malik rubs his wrists, newly free, yet terrified. They offered me 20 years, he whispers. A felony plea. They say I can leave now, but I'll never walk free. His voice cracks. I don't want to vanish behind bars. Tears well up. Marisol crouches beside him. You won't, she promises, placing a firm hand on his back. We fight this together. At that moment, a sharply dressed man approaches Special Agent Everett Miles of the Department of Civil Rights Investigations. His badge gleams in the afternoon light. Marisol Vega, he asks, voice calm but urgent. She nods. Everett lowers his voice. They're already scouring records, deleting camera feeds, silencing witnesses. His eyes flick to Malik. Officer Bates. His allies run deep. Marisol's jaw tightens. How do we bring him down? Everett shakes his head. You need Marcus Brand. He holds the unedited footage and internal memos. He hands her a slip of paper with Brand's name and contact. He'll talk, but only if you tread carefully. Before they can say more, Everett slips back into the dispersing crowd. Marisol tucks the slip into her coat. As Malik stands beside her, hope flickers in his eyes. The path ahead is perilous, but now they have a name, and the war for justice gains its next ally. 7 days later, Marisol slips through the back door of a shadowed safe house to meet Marcus Brand, a former IT specialist from the precinct whose conscience refused to let him stay silent. Brand's face is drawn in the dim light as he explains how Officer Bates' network systematically altered security footage and buried internal investigations. With trembling hands, he slides a gleaming hard drive across the table. This is the original feed, he says. Bates's elbow every second, uncut, unfiltered. Marisol gently lifts the drive, feeling its weight like the promise of truth itself. Marcus lays out emails and memos showing how Bates's allies in the prosecutor's office and internal affairs suppressed complaints and shredded evidence. Each document confirms a conspiracy reaching far beyond one rogue officer. Marisol steadies her recorder, capturing every revelation, witness intimidation, doctored reports, back-channel deals to silence victims. Brand admits the risk he's taken by speaking up his career is all but finished, yet he insists justice demands exposure. Outside, Malik stands at the curb, coat wrapped tightly against the night chill. When Marcus emerges, Malik's eyes catch the reflection of the drive's blinking light. Hope flickers in his gaze for the first time since the trial began. Marisol joins them under the street lamp. We have what we need, she says quietly. Now begins the real fight. They know what comes next. Legal wrangling, press storms, threats in the dark. Yet as Marisol slips the drive into her bag, she feels a shift in the air, a resolve hardened by proof, not passion. The war for accountability has moved from whispered corners into the open, and Marisol Vega Marine and sister is ready to carry this evidence into the heart of the justice system itself. 2 months into the inquiry, the city can no longer look away. Social media ignites as fair justice and no badge above the law trend on every feed. Television news loops Marisol's calm yet searing testimony, her words reverberating in living rooms and senior centers alike. In City Hall, council members scrambled to convene special sessions. Signs demanding independent oversight sprout on front lawns and church notice boards. Grassroots activists, grandparents and grandchildren, retired teachers, and faith leaders assemble in living rooms to strategize, determine their voices will shape real reform. Meanwhile, Bates's defense attorneys ramp up their counteroffensive filing motions to dismiss key evidence and accusing Marisol of staging drama for headlines. Rather than retreat, Marisol channels public outrage into action. She convenes a peaceful rally on the courthouse steps at midday sunlight glinting off the stone pillars. Clutching a single microphone, she speaks without rancor, her voice steady and measured. We seek accountability, not political gamesmanship. Our goal is simple transparency, oversight, and assurance that every citizen, regardless of background or badge, answers to the law. Families who once watched in silence now stand beside her, some carrying photographs of loved ones wronged by unchecked authority. Community clergy offer prayers for justice. Local high school students distribute water bottles and homemade flyers outlining citizens' rights. Malik, once consumed by fear, stands tall at Marisol's side, his shoulders squared in newfound confidence. When Marisol introduces him, the crowd breaks into heartfelt applause, proof that compassion and courage can transform shame into collective resolve. By day's end, the rally's momentum reaches City Hall. Council members pledge to draft a civilian review board with subpoena powers. The police chief vows to audit every use of force report for the last 5 years. On street corners, strangers exchange knowing nods. This is more than a demonstration. It is a declaration that ordinary people guided by dignity and unity will no longer stand by as power goes unchecked. The battle lines have been drawn, and for the first time, justice itself feels within reach. Half a year has passed since that fateful day in the courtroom, and at last, Officer Graham Bates stands trial for corruption, abuse of power, and obstruction of justice. The packed courtroom is charged with anticipation as Marisol Vega takes the stand once more. Gone is the quiet tension of those early hearings. Today she speaks with measured authority. She recounts step by deliberate step the moment Bates's elbow struck her in that sacred hall of justice and how subsequent reports vanished into the department's shadowy archives. There is no hesitation in her voice as she describes the discovery of internal memos, scrubbed body cam footage, and the whispered warnings that once tried to silence her and her brother. Next, Marcus Brand, the courageous former precinct IT specialist, offers technical testimony that feels straight out of a courtroom drama. With calm clarity, he explains how digital logs were manipulated, how surveillance feeds were altered, and how his recovered hard drive irrefutably captured the assault. The judge, motioning with a solemn nod, then allows the previously suppressed footage to play on the big screen. The room falls into a hush so deep you could hear Bates shift in his seat. On that grainy video, every detail is laid bare: the smug line of Bates's jaw, the flash of steel from Marisol's Marine badge, the moment silence was weaponized. As closing arguments commence, Marisol stands to address the jury one final time. Dressed simply in a dark suit that speaks of respect rather than defiance, she reminds 12 citizens of their solemn duty. A badge is not a shield against accountability. Law and justice, she declares, are not earned by stars on a collar, but by the integrity of every action we take. The prosecuting attorney's words echo in her wake. We trust you to protect the powerless and hold the powerful to the same standard. Silence reigns as the jury retreats. Minutes feel like hours for the countless onlookers who have watched this ordeal unfold. When they return, the four-person steady voice pronounces Bates guilty on all counts. A collective exhale sweeps through the courthouse. For the first time in many mornings, the city breathes a sigh of relief that justice, slow though it may have been, has finally been served. A full year has passed since that pivotal courtroom clash, and the city's justice system bears little resemblance to its former self. Independent oversight boards now review every complaint of excessive force, their proceedings open to public view. An interactive online dashboard tracks officer misconduct, and it can no longer be swept under the rug. Every patrol vehicle undergoes mandatory body camera audits, and tampering with footage is treated as a felony. At the State Academy, recruits study Marisol Vega's testimony in the recovered video as a core lesson. Integrity must always guide authority. Meanwhile, Malik Vega has traded his shackles for textbooks, enrolling in the local university's criminal justice program. He sits in lecture halls where once he stood in a holding cell, now driven by a single purpose to learn the law, so he might one day safeguard others from the same injustice. His transformation from frightened defendant to thoughtful scholar is a testament to a family's resilience and to the power of standing firm under pressure. Not far behind, Marcus Brand has joined the Department of Civil Rights as a policy analyst. Formerly a quiet IT specialist, he now drafts the very regulations that will prevent future cover-ups. His daily work poring over digital audit trails, training internal affairs investigators, and speaking to precinct commanders helps entrench the transparency he first risked everything to expose. Yet despite these victories, Marisol Vega remains acutely aware of the many who did not have a sister in the SEALs or a hard drive full of proof. She has established a legal aid fund dedicated to low-income defendants, ensuring that families in every neighborhood can access qualified representation and forensic expertise. Through monthly community clinics and rotating pro bono panels, she and Malik host informational sessions, explaining rights, detailing police procedures, and helping neighbors record interactions safely. Trust in law enforcement is still fragile, old wounds run deep. But when community members learn that their complaints are logged, investigated, and when warranted, publicly adjudicated, confidence grows. In quiet gatherings at senior centers and at local barbershops, people now speak of the day a Marine sister stood up for her brother as a turning point. It is here, in small acts of vigilance and mutual support, that the promise of true accountability takes root, proving that justice, once awakened, can endure. This story teaches us that justice does not appear by itself, but must be reinforced through brave voices and continuous action. The key message is never to judge anyone by their appearance or our assumptions, for the truth often hides beneath silence. Now, I want to hear from you. What resonated most with you in this narrative? Have you ever witnessed or experienced a similar moment when the vulnerable were treated as invisible? Share your thoughts on how justice and compassion can work together to reform our systems. When do you think racism will truly end? Perhaps it will require generations of education, legal reform, and community building of trust. Or do you believe a single major legal or social breakthrough could spark dramatic change? Whatever your viewpoint, discussing these ideas helps us envision the path forward. Please leave a comment. How long do you predict until prejudice disappears? What are you willing to do today to help bring about that change? It is through unity in each individual's voice that we build the collective power needed to eradicate bias and create a fairer future for everyone.